I invested all of my savings into my first production run, which I think a lot of people in my friend circle and my family were concerned about, because I'd never really sold anything online.
Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have a special guest on that featured in a 30 under 30. So that tells you that her business is doing well and she is doing well leading the business. So welcome to the show, Marissa.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Marissa, tell us a little bit about your background and then I want to talk about your awesome business.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds great. So I actually I started in design. I went to school for design. I got my undergrad, did my bachelor's degree actually in communication, and then ended up getting into design sort of like later on in my sort of like educational career, and then ended up doing communication arts, which is kind of like all design related to communication materials. So this could be like magazines, like advertising, branding, typography, color theory, all of those things. And so at the time, I was working full time and I was also going to school. So I had
Wow.
sort of a 9 to 5 job. And then 3 nights a week, I was going to school from 7 to 10 at night. So I had a lot going on, which meant that I needed a really good way for me to sort of like have a schedule and have something that could keep me accountable with like all of my school projects, and also everything that I had to do for work, like my meetings and things that I had to get done, presentations I had to do, things like that. So I've always been like myself a really big planner person. So for me, planners have been a part of my life since I was really, really little. So I knew, that I needed a good planner in order to kind of like do all of the things that I was doing. So that's kind of like where the idea came from, because I didn't ended up finding the type of planner that I needed as sort of a ambitious career woman that was also like doing like post-secondary education. So I decided to create it.
Awesome, awesome. And I think that becomes a very consistent thing that I've heard about, people were trying to figure something out in their own life and solve a problem that they had. And, that solution ended up turning into a workable business.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about
Absolutely.
what is the name of the business? And then I want to definitely talk about kind of what's that journey been like in creating that business.
So the company's called STIL, and the journey has been interesting. I mean, I started my first planner I ever made was in 2014, so it has been a pretty long road in terms of like me making planners. But we do so many other products now too that kind of like fall into the category of like organization, and as specifically organizing women, just because I am a woman and I know what I need and I know what I want out of my planners. So that's been we do get a lot of requests from men, because I know a lot of men also use notebooks and journals and things like that. But in sort of like the early stages, it was very much just me handwriting labels, me doing everything by hand. I used to actually make the planners
Oh, wow.
by myself. And then I moved into manufacturing, and then we did our first run of sort of like 1,000 units, and it ended up going really well. And then from there, we kind of started expanding into other things that people would use that they need on their desk, whether it's a notepad or an actual journal for journaling, a mindfulness planner, a productivity planner. And then thinking about the different sort of like the ways that you can split up your year, whether it's quarterly or every 6 months. And then some people prefer 12 months and some people prefer 18 months. So we have like all kinds of different planners for all different types of people. But initially it's kind of just started as like one planner that kind of served that one need that I needed specifically for myself.
Okay, nice. So
Yeah.
when you mentioned about going, yeah, you used to do it yourself and going into, I guess, getting a manufacturer. Like, what was that kind of that aha moment or that switch or that deal that happened that made you say, all right, we need to like upgrade our manufacturing on these?
Yeah. So honestly, it was just me taking a leap of faith and kind of like knowing that this was going to work out in some weird, strange way. I like fingers crossed, basically. I invested all of my savings into my first production run, which I think a lot of people in my friend circle and my family were concerned about, because I'd never really sold anything online. Thankfully, like back when I started in 2014, I feel like there wasn't as many brands that were doing that. There wasn't as many things popping up every single day. So it was actually a lot easier for me to gain traction, like a lot quicker, just because, there wasn't all of this crazy competition of people starting businesses all at the same time.
Okay, fine. Now, are all of your products sold directly to consumer, or do you have distributors or outlets?
No, we are fully direct to consumer.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice, nice. So,
Yeah.
what types of products would someone be looking for with your business?
So we make planners that sometimes people refer to as calendars or agendas, that basically focus on organizing your schedule and your tasks. They have everything from setting your rituals for your everyday, your goal setting for your month. And then recently, we actually also came out with a wellness planner that kind of like really focuses on, your own personal self care, your exercise routines, your nutrition, like all of those different things. So anyone that kind of like enjoys planning on paper or taking notes on paper, we are basically the solution for.
Okay, nice,
Yeah.
nice. So, when you started the business, or I guess when you started to grow it, what was it like getting, let's say, your first, your first few customers? What was that process like for you?
So it was pretty interesting actually because I remember the day that I launched my store, I only got one sale and I was like, I'm so fucked. This is a terrible idea. And then it kind of like obviously increased as we went. But it really kind of like put a lot of fire under me to be like, okay, like I need to make this work. Like I don't have any other types of income, to sustain my life and to sustain myself. And everything that I had saved went into these platters. So like here we go. And I think for me, what I always say to people when they are kind of, because I think a lot of people have like side hustles where they're doing like a full-time job and then they have something else on the side that they're working on. But if that passion project is really what you want to be doing, there really is no way for you to become better at it or successful with it unless you're doing 110%. So as scary as it was to like quit my job and do all of that, it really forced me to get creative, to become a better salesperson, to become a better business person, to really learn how to get my brand out there in like a proactive way and like do lots of research and look at what other people were doing. So I really think that there's a huge benefit in just like taking a leap of faith.
So, were there any particular, I guess you'd say, approaches you took to getting your brand out there that you were like, hey, this really helped us really get the brand out there?
I mean, I started in a time where influencer marketing wasn't really a thing yet. Like, we had bloggers and people were, writing blog posts and they had Instagram pages. So most of the time, like when you would reach out to somebody, they were kind of new to the landscape as well. So they were looking for content and they were willing to exchange kind of like free product for content. So
Okay.
I got really lucky in terms of I reached out to a lot of people that I was already following that I enjoyed. I would enjoy reading their blog posts or I looked at their Instagram and I enjoyed what I was looking at. So it was actually fairly easy to reach out to people back then, without necessarily having to pay, for promotion, because it was really quite new when I was like initially starting out.
Okay, awesome. So now where can potential customers find your products or where can they follow you on social media?
So our Instagram account is at Still Classics with one L. The website is exactly the same. So stilclassics.com, again, just with one L. And that's where basically everything lives. We do most of our promotion through Instagram. We do a lot of Instagram stories, videos. We're working currently on our YouTube channel. So there's a lot more video content that's going to be coming out. But Instagram is basically the best place to find us for sure.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, before we wrap up, there's one question that I ask every guest that comes on, and is, when you're in that process of building a business, there are so many learning lessons. So I know the list can be pretty long, but I'll ask, what are two things that you will say that you have learned in the process of building your business that when you learned it, you were like, wow, entrepreneurs need to know this to be successful?
I feel like I already went into one of them a little bit. I do think that it takes, 150% of dedication towards a business if you want to make it successful, and to really like put everything you have into it. So, if you are side hustling, I do recommend just trying it. If you fail, you can always get a job. You can always, do something else. But if you never try, I think it's really difficult to kind of like really know if it would have ever worked out. And then my second thing that I really live by is there is no such thing as luck. There's only hard work. So work hard and you will get what you deserve.
I think that is a good one because I was talking with someone earlier, and I was and I was like, I always think about, it was a quote that I don't know who even started the quote, but they said something like, "Oh, if you find something that you love, you'll never have to work another day in your life." And I'm like, that is a lie.
No, that's an absolute lie. Yeah, no kidding.
Just like that. I was like, when it comes down to building a business or building a brand or whatever, I'm like, there's
Yeah.
definitely got to be work involved.
Oh yeah, 100%. More than you'll ever do in your life.
Absolutely. Well, also, one thing that I also wanted to ask you about is the honor of being on the 30 under 30 list. What is that like?
It's pretty amazing. It's a little bit of a bummer this year because we don't get to have the party or the networking events or anything. So I haven't actually met any of the other sort of like participants or winners, which is kind of unfortunate because it's such a great opportunity to be among other people and to get to know them. But I'm extremely honored. It was something that I set out for myself, that I almost kind of like um, that I really did want and kind of manifest in my life when I was in my early 20s. And I was like, I feel like I'm gonna end up getting this. And I'm literally a month away from turning 30. So
Well, congratulations, you
that's the
made
best part.
it.
Yeah, I made it. Yes.
Well,
Thank you
Marissa,
so much.
no problem. Marissa, well, thank you so much for being on the show, for sharing your wisdom and your insight. We'll definitely add the one pager so people can find you and they can find your products and follow to see the success and the continued success of you and your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.